What is up, disc golfers? Today on Iceberg TV, I want to talk about Corey Ellis's incident at the Beaver State Fling. I'm pretty sure everybody at this point has seen it because this video has been circulating all over the internet for the last few days and, the better part of a week at this point. Congratulations to Garrett Gurthey for winning the event. This was a bit of a redemption tournament for him, but the point of today's video is to talk about the issue that Corey Ellis had. Corey Ellis is fighting for the win. I believe he was in first place at the time. He's playing super clean golf, and he throws his par putt in, hits dead center chains, and it actually goes in the basket and falls through the bottom of the basket. Now, he kind of did a Michael Johansson sort of look away, like he thought the putt was going in, so he bent down to pick up his mini, and when he looked up, his disc was on the ground. The commentators were saying that they were aware that he noticed it fall out of the basket, but I don't particularly think that is what happened. I don't think that's the case scenario here. I think he looked down and then he looked up and he thought he got spit out because his disc was on the ground. You don't assume that your disc fell out of the basket or fell through the basket. And if he did know that it fell through the basket, he would have called a provisional. He's not a dumb player. He knows how to call a provisional. So if he knew that it was an equipment sort of issue, the equipment is what failed him and his disc fell through the bottom. And then other players on the card tried to slide their disc through the same hole and they were unable to squeak it through. So they were trying to mess with it to see, did that actually happen? And he wound up just not calling provisional and tapping in. In this case scenario, the TD should have awarded Corey Ellis his stroke back. He did wind up taking a bogey to the best of my knowledge, and he wasn't able to get that stroke back. We saw a different kind of issue with Paul McBeth at the MVP Open at Maple Hill. Something was called out of bounds on him that wasn't out of bounds, and he actually got a stroke back in that tournament after the round and scores were submitted, and Paul McBeth came in the next day with a one-stroke better score than what was submitted on his scorecard. So these things can be corrected. Now, obviously, a player with the reputation of Paul McBeth, like disc golf's #1 guy, probably is going to get a little bit better treatment than Corey, but there should have been justice for Corey on this. This was not his fault, whether he called a provisional or not. He should have been able to get that stroke back, and it definitely gave him a little bit of a mental razzing, that putt. I think he could have been in a position to win this tournament. Now, I know he could have just played a little bit better and caught up to Garrett. He only lost by 3. He was 1 stroke behind Joel Freeman, but just a 1-stroke advantage would have tied him with Joel Freeman, and that's, $250 in his pocket if they, split the money. So a little bit more cash for him. A second-place finish looks a lot better to the sponsors than a third-place finish. I think the sport definitely failed Corey. The logical move was just to, correct his score because it was an obvious error with the course, regardless of, what people saw there and then. It should have been corrected after the round. But with all that being said, I would love to hear your guys' comments in the comment section down below. It's quite a controversial thing, but I think Corey deserves some justice here, and, he should have got that stroke back coming into the next day. And maybe he would have been able to come back and win this tournament with that 1-stroke advantage, because he definitely fell off here. He started off hot and then did a little cooler and then got a little cooler from there. Obviously, Joel Freeman hitting the ace cranked up the Jets and shot an insane final round, and he totally earned the second-place finish. But I'm sure even if you were to ask Joel Freeman, he would have preferred Corey Ellis to get his stroke back on his score coming into that final round. But with all that being said, comment down below. What are your thoughts on the situation? You're watching Iceberg TV, and take care.